How's it going? I hope that you're doing wonderful. So, as the story goes about the land of Punt, finding the land of Punt, which is the land that the Egyptians journeyed to, this was a land that was so important to the Egyptians that they wrote songs about it, they spoke about it, they made hieroglyphics about it, and the queen, the pharaoh queen at the time, saw it as a great accomplishment. So it was actually one of the most important world-shattering and significant events that have ever happened to them. And people are actually still talking about the land of Punt. So this land of Punt was actually a land of milk and honey in its own right, because the land of Punt is in the southern part of Africa, right? So in the southern part of Africa is where you find the people who are called the Sand People. So the Sand People are the Sand People. So when everyone was created from sand by God, He was creating the sand. And then these are S-A-N, which is the S-U-N, the sun, the S-O-N, the sun, which is the sun. And this is why the Egyptians were so fascinated with the sun. So when they went to this land, this was a momentous occasion, and this is written in the tomb of this queen, the Egyptian pharaoh Hatshepsut, and she puts it in her tomb, in the tomb or the temple that's called the Holy of Holies, because in this tomb is where everything holy is, and this is one of the holiest things that had happened in their area. So the land of Punt was like a land of milk and honey. So these Sand People, the Sand People, are one of the people in the world who have the most diverse genes with everyone. This is milk and honey. They have white people, they have brown people. Everyone's a variation of milk or honey, right? So the land of milk and honey was this land of Punt. And this land of Punt is the land of Bunt, the land of Bantu. This is just what it is. So when they came to this land, what they were coming to was the southern part, and they actually thought that the wealth in the land of Punt was from some other places. Of course, the land of Punt was trading with other places like China. Like there was actually trade with China and other countries in the land of Punt, Arabia, and all of these countries. But they thought that the wealth was from these other places, because it was so vastly rich in the land of Punt. So they went and got their clothing for the priests there. They got their gold, because the gold was used for worship. When you read the Bible, you realize that when God was giving directions, there was always gold involved. So gold has always been sacred. If you read the Revelation, the book of Revelation, the kings in heaven are actually rocking gold crowns, which they use as an offering. So this gold was used as an offering, and it was from the land of Punt. So this land was used as for this type of purpose. So it was like a gift. They weren't actually trading it for them. They were actually giving it to them. It was them giving to their children. It was something that was highly significant. So when this pharaoh lady, Hatshepsut, wanted to have this trip to the land of Punt, to the land of Bantu, she was talking in allegory form. She was talking in like a spiritual way, saying that she has been told to go back to the land of Punt, and this land has to be refound again, because they had lost their way to the land of Punt. They had lost their way to the land of Punt. Say that they had lost their way to the land of Punt. They didn't know how to get to the land of Punt anymore. So she writes about this, and then she starts speaking about this in Egypt, and this is in papyrus, and this is in 1400 BC. So people had been trading with the land of Punt for like 1,000 years prior with King Khufu. So in these years, this is when they started going to the land of Punt, and over the years they had always been going to this land. And she was saying that the route to the land has been lost, so now she has to go and re-find it. So so this is what was happening. This is what she actually said. And then when this happened, you'd realize that they went to the land of Punt, and it seemed like they already knew what they were prepared for. They already knew what where they were going. So re-finding the land of Punt is re-finding the roots, their own roots. This is the land of Punt. This is the land of the heart. This is the heartland. So when you take the word heart, H-E-A-R-T, you have earth. You have earth. You have sand. Heart, E-A-R-T-H. So they had lost their way to the earth. They had lost their heart. They had lost their roots. The righteous is like a tree planted by streams of living water. So when you're not planted, you don't have your roots, right? So they'd lost their roots. So they had to go to the land of Punt to reclaim their roots, to re-find the way to the heart of God, right? And and through this, what they were doing was trying to regain this lost treasure. This is the treasure of wisdom, because the land of Punt is surrounded by South Africa, which is called actually the land of wisdom. This is where the people emerged, and this was called the land of wisdom. And the wisdom is the treasure of the heart. Okay, so they went to this area. This is where actually chess was invented, by the way. And chess is like a mastermind's game, right? So they went to this land of Punt. This land of Punt is where they actually found people who were melting gold, who had spindles, like who were weaving clothes, who were manufacturing beads. They actually found a place there where people were buried in hills, and the kings had crowns, golden crowns. They used to cuss their own crowns. The bones there was so old that when they were exposed to light, they just fragmented. They just turned to dust. And these were people who were in South Africa who actually were part of the regime there that found it, and they didn't show people a lot of this stuff, and they just went to that place, removed the stuff, found these bowls full of thousands and thousands of golden beads. The kings, the queens were buried in bangles of their treasure, like up to their arms, you know. They were buried with massive wealth in South Africa, right? So this is where they were coming to the southern part, which was in the southeastern part. So a lot of people have not been able to find the land of Punt, because this land is found in the heart. This is the heartland. This is the heart. This is the heart. So when you're going to the land of Punt, you're going to this area where they used to call a paradise. So they had lost their way to the land of Punt. And this is why this story was so sensational, because people are look at it saying that it's a lost land. So no one has ever been able to find it, because because when you look at what's happening in the earth, in the sand, in the Punt, right, in the ground, like what is happening to people all over the world, this massive injustice. We have lost the way to the land of Punt. Like if you actually go through your life and don't care about what everyone, like what someone else is doing, you have lost your way to your heartland. You have lost your way to the motherland. You have lost your way to your gold. You have lost your way to God, because because you have to realize that the whole trick and maneuver that made them leave Egypt was that people wanted to make gold God. But then God has always been gold. This is why he first of all spoke to the person in the garden like, hey, there's gold there, so I've placed something for you. And this place is also the land of Punt. This is the land of Punt. So in the Bible, you'd see it as the land of Punt, the land of Punt, PH, or the land of Punt. This is one of the lands of the African people who came to Africa. So these were the three people who came to Africa. So sometimes in the translations in the various Bibles, it will say that it is in Libya or somewhere there. But this is the land of Punt. So this is where actually they started the sand people. This is where they came from, and these are the San. And these sand went and multiplied so much in China. And if you look at Mandela today, what you're looking at is a Khoi San, and he kind of looks like a person who is of a different continent. If you look at different faces, so finding your way to the land of Punt is finding your way to the heart, is finding your way to what truly matters, to finding the roots, because the righteous is like a tree planted by streams of living water, right? So this is how you find prosperity, right? Finding your heart, finding that truth that they thought that they had lost, and certainly they might have lost it, but seemed like they found it. And when they found it, like it was something that was so important and spectacular, something that was so special. So this land of Punt is actually the heart. This is a journey to the heart. This is a journey that they made to the heart. People can't find this land because it's a lost land, because people have lost their way to the heart. They've lost their way to the heart. If people don't care about things happening in different parts of the world, then they've lost their way to the land. They've lost their way in the land. So the land of Punt is the heart, really. It's about about the truth of the heart. And the land of Punt is the land of Bantu. Bantu are people. People are sand. So the land of Punt is the land of the Bantu, the land of the people. These were the people who were in this area. So yeah, understanding that the land of Punt is Somalia still, because these are the people. The land of Punt is Egypt, you know. The land of Punt is everywhere, but the land of Punt is Bantu land. This is just the fact. This is the overarching fact that this Bantu land was disenfranchised, because nothing good is supposed to come out of certain areas, and this is how it's supposed to be. So this is why people don't know this, that this land was a land of gold, golden hills. So God mentions it as that river where the four heads actually separate. This is Havila. This is the land of Punt. This is the land of Punt. This is the land that Ham's sons came to get. So this is the land of Punt. This is a blessed land. This is a blessed land. But for the love of money is the root of diverse evils. So people saw the wealth in this land, and because of the love of money, the land of Punt is in the heart. You know, because of the love of money, the land of Punt is in the heart. But the land of Punt is in the people. The land of Punt is Bantu, you see. So the land of Punt is Ubuntu. So they wanted to get that principle. So this principle, Ubuntu, okay, Ubuntu, this is Hupantu. So Hupantu for them was this idea of how the people in Punt lived in a paradise. That is Hupantu. Hupantu, Ubuntu, Ubantu, Humunu, Hunu, Munu, Arimunu, like how you are as a person. This is Hupantu, Ubuntu, Ubuntu. And it's been translated in so many different ways. But this is the basis of what everything is supposed to be. So when you go to the sons of the San, which were the Chinese, they have an understanding called Ren. So to them, Ren is the word for person. Okay, a person's called Ren. So their understanding of this understanding is the same as when you say humanity is the same as being human. Unity in human, right? This is Ubuntu. Ren means person in China, and Ren means this same of humanity, being personable. This is what Ren is. But this comes from Hupantu. So when they were going to the land of Punt, what they were doing was they were trying to find their Ubuntu. They were trying to find their heartland, their sand, what makes them persons, what makes them... Because these people were so close to the ground. They were so humble. You're never gonna find a more humble person than a person with Ubuntu. Ubuntu is what makes Mandela Mandela. That's it. Nothing else. This principle is power. This principle is power. This is Hupantu. This is where they were. This is what they lost. This is where they were venturing. They were venturing to the land of Punt. This is a land of milk and honey, right? The Rainbow Nation. Nelson Mandela coined it the Rainbow Nation because the milk is the honey. This land, the land of Punt, you still find people of different like they're Indian people here, they're white people here, they're every type of person you can think of here. They're tall people, they're short people, they're people who look like Akhenaten, they're people who look like Khufu, you know, they're people who look like Cleopatra. This is just the people, you know, the people. So if you lost your Hupantu, if you lost your way, then you've lost the motherland. You've lost your heart in the motherland. And everyone's rooted in the motherland. We call it the motherland, you know? So it's like it is like that. It's like it's like the sand where we all come from. Because whether or not you like think you're African, right? That's what they say. So it's just a very tricky world. Just a very tricky world. And what really matters is finding your way to the heartland, your own heartland. This is how your treasures are found, in the place where you place your heart. This is what it's talking about. This is the treasures in the world. They're all placed there. This at some point, like this whole land, like Egypt, Africa, Ethiopia, Nubia, Macrobia, Nok, Mosi, Yoruba, all of these kingdoms at some point were self-sustaining, right? And they were blessed. They were blessed by God in what they were doing, because the people who create the Bible are people who came to this area and they were actually blessed in this area. They were actually ruling in the same area, and this is how we actually met. Like some of our forefathers were actually met Joseph. Like he ruled Egypt for 80 years, right? So some of these Bantus were talking to Joseph like, nah, I'm not going to do it like that. Like all of these things were things that they actually used to do. Some of them met Moses. It was necessary for Moses to come to the motherland in order to learn anything, you know? So understanding that to Egypt, the whole world is Egypt. We've always had lands, right? To Kush, the whole land is Kush. To the Bantus, the whole land is Bantu. So understanding who Bantu is understanding the sand, understanding that they were brought low. They used to live low, like they used to sleep on the ground. They used to hear the ground. They actually built stone monuments. These were just made off the ground. They lived off the ground. They tended the ground. They had animals which are from the ground. They had books which were from the ground. They had like insight which was from the ground. Like for example, a sand person, which is one of the first civilizations, right? The sand person, the first civilization, like like these were the people who were actually still wearing hides. The people who I'm talking about used to play chess. They used to play. They created chess. The people I'm talking about used to weave clothes. They created the spindle. But the sand people had a concept of their own. Like before all of these civilizations emerged, we are sons of the sand. So these sand are the people who were had a concept for time. Like when they were sleeping, they would hear a certain type of bird, and from the sound of the birds, the bird you told me, right? The sound of the bird, they would know the time, and then they would know that it's 4 a.m. and then they would hear another type of a fish. So they would strategically pick where they would live, and then they would know everything. They would orient their lives like they were living in life's algorithm, in balance, perfect balance. And this perfect balance was advanced with African technology. They were living like that, and then they would hear this fish. It would tell them now it's 5 a.m. and then they would hear the fish eagle. now this would tell them to get up. So these sand people were the people of the sand. They had their own concepts, they had their own laws, their own doctrine, their own dogmas. So these were probably the first ones who were actually playing chess, but the civilizations emerged and they actually advanced. So yeah, this is just the sand. This is just man. This is just humility, you know, just humility. Just be humble in yourself, and you'll find the land of Punt. It's the land of milk and honey. That is it. So the land of Punt is in the heart, and you know, love is in the heart, truth is in the heart, righteousness is in the heart. Yeah, the land of Punt is in the heart. You are in the heart. So yeah, thank you. I love you, and keep it real.